So, in this episode, we're going to deal with failure. Hey, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? My name is Michael Sahno. Welcome to the Sea and Land Fitness Podcast. This podcast is brought to you by Sea and Land Fitness. You can find them at www.sandlfit.com. That's sandlfit or sandlfit.com. I'll go over more about that at the end of the episode. So this episode is about failure and dealing with failure. And it's ironic because I just recorded this episode and forgot to plug in the microphone cable into the board. So failure, how you deal with failure. So as all of you know, Jesus, I mean, come on, man. That is like, what? I can't even believe it. So what was my choice? To just pick right back up and re-record it. I was all ready to have it in the can, but I was like, no, all the equipment's set up. Let's just re-record the episode. So as you guys know, I just graduated this past August from the University of Florida with a master's in applied physiology and kinesiology. And I also have my TSAC from the NSCA, which is Tactical Strength and Conditioning Facilitator, and my corrective exercise specialist certification from NASM. And I was, if you watch the last episode, I just failed to pass my CSCS certified strength and conditioning specialist, which is the super duper certification for my field, strength and conditioning. I also work in sports psychology, which is mostly what this is going to be about, but I failed it. And I think I described it I described it in the last episode as, do you remember when you were in high school and you broke up with someone, and that sinking pit of a feeling that you had inside of yourself, that emptiness, that, oh my gosh, what am I going to do now? Well, I had that feeling immediately after. And I knew it would go away because I had experience in failure. We all do. I knew that feeling would eventually dissipate, but to have to go through it sucked. So what I thought I would do is I would just get back on the horse and, go headfirst into studying and just boom, 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 hit it again. And this time hit all the points that I missed. Really take the exam versus take what I thought was going to be the exam. And that's great on paper. That's awesome on paper. But the reality of it is that exam has a requirement of 30 days till you can retake it. So I had all this time on my hands, and I had done, a power study session for the weeks prior to that, and pretty much effectively came real close to burning myself out. I read the entire book in like a week. That's the book right there, and it's a textbook. It's not like an undergrad textbook. It's, research article quality textbook. So it's a deep dive. And I wanted to make sure that I understood it. So I reread sections and stuff like that. And I felt confident going into it. And that's one of the biggest things. Um, you should feel confident. There's this concept called self-efficacy where you self-efficacy is just a really $12 word for self-confidence. There's a little more to it, but it's understanding that you have the capabilities, the required knowledge, the required skills to be successful at a given task. And I had that. With my background, with my education, I had that. So I didn't think it was going to be any type of problem. So when I did fail, that was a big shot, not just to my ego, but to my confidence. You know what I mean? And I went into this funk where I started questioning, you know, who my capabilities, questioning my abilities, questioning my um knowledge of everything that was going to be my career. This is something that I'm sure anyone who's failed an exam, a lawyer who took the bar exam, a doctor who took the boards, a nurse who took her exam or his exams, doesn't matter, or a teacher who took their exams. Um, it's it's if I can't pass my exam, what am I? What am I? Because I no longer feel as if I am a strength and conditioning coach, a doctor, a nurse, a teacher, a lawyer. So I was really starting to get into a funk. And I know I had just said I was going to go right back into it full steam, but I had 30 days. I had this massive time span um, to fill with things. And was I going to be able to go? I'm going to have a sip of coffee. Peter Madeira, this is for you. Was I really realistically going to be able to go hard at 80, 90%, for 30 days, for a month? No. And that's the obvious answer. Absolutely not. I was, I had life. I had to be at the gym. I had to take care of things around the house. I had to take care of some weird health insurance issues where I have to, spend hours on the phone with with Blue Cross Blue Shield. So I'm not going to be able to give it 100%. There are days when I'm going to be able to give it 25%, 50%. Some days I'm going to 0%. I had to shoot over to West Point. I live in the Hudson Valley. I had to shoot over to West Point with a friend of mine to take care of some personnel issues and to go over to the range that they have there. And that was my entire day. And then come home and make dinner and whatever else needed to get done. So going at 100% wasn't, or close to 100% wasn't going to be an option for 30 straight days. So I knew I needed to take a step back and really, one, I needed to take a step back from the level of studying that I was doing for the exam. Two, I needed to take a step back because I had so much emotionally invested in this exam. To fail it was a punch, and I needed to recover from it. Even the toughest of us, stand by and can't just walk it off. You know what I mean? So I needed to I guess how would I describe it? Emotionally absorb this failure. But I needed to do it in a way that was proactive, positive, and would get me back into the game. Now that's easier said than done. That is way easier said than done because I really can't believe I'm saying this. I really hurt from it. Um, it hurt. It sucked to not have made it on the first try. Um, Ironically, my comprehensive exams for for my masters, I failed those on the first try too. Um, so I spent a couple of weeks just being a shitbag, um, and really kind of feeling sorry for myself and going, I don't know. No, honey, you don't understand. When my wife absolutely did understand how devastating it was. Um, I just I couldn't bounce back. And anyone who's been here, as I said before, any lawyer who's failed the bar, any doctor who's failed the medical boards, any nurse who's failed the exam, any teacher who's failed their exam, you know what it's like. I know what it's like for you. It is crushing. Absolutely 100% crushing. And here's why I made this video. Because this is something I can overcome. This is something I can 100% overcome. So you remember, I think I said I had this intention of getting right back into it and studying again so that using this 30 days in a very positive hiccup. Sorry, I had a hiccup. In a very positive, beneficial way. So one of the first things I did was go onto the NSCA's website and look up all the information, the study materials, because I had used the wrong study materials. And I go over a bunch of that in the prior episode, the one I did before this, which go check out if you're interested in finding out what I did. I had studied the wrong thing. I had studied for what I thought the exam was, and I called the NSCA, got the information on what I needed to be studying. So I have all that now. And started doing that, but still realized that it was 30 days away and that's where I took that time off and I stepped back. Which at first, felt like this was the wrong choice. This was a bad idea. I think I had a night where I had a couple of beers and the next day felt horrible and was like, oh, this is me just feeling sorry for myself. There needs to be some of that. There needs to be an emotional response and an acceptance of that emotional response. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. And anyone who's telling you you're just wasting all your time, eat shit. You got to feel this. It's everything you've worked towards has in your mind at that moment been crushed. So just take some time. There's nothing wrong with that. But understand that time has a specific purpose, and it's so you can absorb the emotion of it. Once you've done that, now it's time to get up. Now it's time to start moving. Now it's time to start doing something. So I think about 2 weeks before I take the exam. So again, I'm going to start picking up that material. I'm going to block out the days that are coming up. And I'm going to use that time to study the exam, to work the exam, to be proficient at what the exam wants from me so that I pass. So I went up to that edge. I went up to that hole that was my failure. And I realized something, like kind of in my mind's eye. I realized that that wasn't the only hole. Okay. I looked around and there were other holes. And I was like, whoa, that's a failure. And that one over there, that's a failure. Oh, crap. That's a failure too. I forgot about that failure. And pretty soon I realized that the ground was littered with these holes, and that the holes that were these failures actually weren't as abysmal. They weren't this abyss like the one I thought I was looking into. They were all shallow holes, because all of these failures I went and did something about and overcame. So what I've got to do is I've just basically got to realize that this is a failure of an event, and that I am not a failure. I have just failed at something, and that there's an opportunity for me to correct that. Absolutely 100% an opportunity for me to correct that. So if we can just change our perspective a little bit and ask ourselves how much we want the things we failed at. There may be things that we're doing. I'm going to be totally honest here. I'm going to have a sip of coffee. Hold on just one sec. There may be things that we failed at that we don't want. You know what I mean? Our parents may be making us do something. Our spouse, our coworkers. We may be in a job that we don't like, and we're failing at that job. But you may not want to be successful at whatever it is. And if you don't, then you should probably stop doing that. You know what I mean? If you're trying to do something for all the wrong reasons, then absolutely, and you continue to fail at it, then maybe you should reassess and think about whether or not that's a challenge that you should be taking up. Now, this CSCS, this exam that I failed, this is something I want. Not just because I need it for my career, but because I want to wear that pin. You know what I mean? Figuratively. I want to wear that badge on my chest and be able to say, I'm a CSCS. I want it on my business card. I want it on my LinkedIn. I want to know that I won now. Before I wanted it just because I knew it was hard and it's something I wanted to do. Now I want it because I failed at it and I'm hungry for it. So realize that these failures are incidents and they don't necessarily reflect on you. You're not the failure. You just failed at something. And it's within your power to succeed at it if you put forth enough effort and enough just might behind it. And that's what I'm going to be doing over the next 2 weeks. Might. I don't know if that's the right term. But effort. I put forth the have enough drive, have enough effort, have enough personal internal self-efficacy, self-confidence to know that I can do this. And I'll be successful. And you can too. I sound like one of those gurus. But you can be successful if you really, if it's something you want to do, if you put forth the effort and you make an honest and able try. I could fail again. I could. But I think my chances are like exponentially lower on this try because I don't know. I just got so much going for me in this push. And I felt what it feels like to fail at this. So I know I don't want to feel that way again. That's not what's driving me, but it is something that's influenced me. influencing me emotionally. So I'm cool with that. I want to know that. So yeah. Um, there you go. And I hope that helps. I hope my failure helps you be successful in the things that you do. And that's all I got for you. That's it. As I said before in the beginning, this podcast is brought to you by Sea and Land Fitness. So head on over, pick up some Calico honey badger stuff. I've also got a fitness program that you should take a look at if you're thinking about military fitness, going into the military, something like that. And yeah, we got stuff. So go on over and check it out. Yeah, that's all I got for you. Thanks a lot.